You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Sila TVJ, masa kasi talaga sila. Kabisado nila yung pulso ng masa. Tapos mga komedyante sila na meron mga blockbuster movies, mga blockbuster na mga sitcoms. I think primarily, ang nagpalapit sa kanila doon sa audiences, lalo na doon sa masa, ay yung kanilang pagiging relatable.
Anyone who grew up in the Philippines knows that Eat Bulaga is a cultural phenomenon. It's one of the longest running and most popular shows here. But after 36 years, the original hosts of the noontime variety show, Tito, Vic, and Joey, were replaced by new blood after exiting the GMA network. I'm Franco Luna, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode, we look at how Eat Bulaga influenced the so-called masa and was in turn shaped by their audience.
Eat Bulaga was launched in 1979. This is the tail end of the 1970s going towards the 80s.
That was Professor Louis John Sanchez, an associate professor of broadcast communications at UP Diliman. He was talking about the humble beginnings of what we now know as Eat Bulaga.
At least siguro mga 1 o 2 taon no, bago nila na-overtake sa ratings. But it started out that way. No? So, historically, what we need to emphasize is that this, noontime show fair has been going on for quite a while, even before the rise of TVJ's Eat Bulaga.
Eat Bulaga is a cultural phenomenon. After all, it's been on air for over 40 years. In 2020, it was awarded the Guinness World Record for the longest-running live noontime variety show.
Before Eat Bulaga, there were already shows airing on lunchtime. Most notably, yung tinapatan ng Eat Bulaga mismo nung araw. Ang palabas na yun ay yung student canteen. Ang host sa student canteen, sila Bobby Ledesma, Eddie Ilarde, at some point Connie Reyes, Helen Vela. Ito sa noontime show.
At this point, its longevity has made Eat Bulaga a part of the Filipino people's daily lives, a source of entertainment and inspiration for generations. But Eat Bulaga didn't start out as a game-changing noontime show. In fact, it burst onto a relatively crowded scene when it first started.
Nag-isip si Tony Toviera na tapatan yung student canteen. Tapos, kinausap silang 3. Doon sumilang ang Eat Bulaga. Na essentially, sumusunod lamang naman doon sa format ng existing noontime show. Back then na merong mga performances. Kasi they're a musical group. 'Di ba? TVJ, VST and Company. 'Di ba? Kumakanta sila, 'di ba? May composers, merong singers, so marunong sila mag-perform. Nag-offer din sila ng cash and prizes sa audiences. Tapos meron silang mga segments na marami.
LJ has been a scholar of television since 2007. He says that while Eat Bulaga followed the student canteen formula, there was something that made Eat Bulaga stand out right off the bat.
Pag ikukumpara mo sila doon sa student canteen, medyo middle brow. Hindi mo na siguro naabutan sila Eddie Ilarde, sila Bobby Ledesma, sila English ang language ng student canteen. Kasi mga ito parang middle class to upper class, no? I think they never really spoke to the common tao because the hosts were speaking in English.
Remember, Eat Bulaga first started with RPN 9 for 9 years, and then it hopped on to ABS-CBN for 6 years. They then spent the next 28 years with the GMA network. But that's a testament to how much they've survived.
Ganon ang falling out nila. Pero na-survive nila. I mean, they have stayed on air for 28 years in GMA 7, and then they have this again. But this is infighting, di ba? So, tingin ko, masusurvive naman ng Eat Bulaga ito. It will be able to reinvent itself, more in tune with the times. Somehow, kasi Eat Bulaga is all about longevity. It's all about stability. They didn't really want to rock the boat. No, kaya kahit halimbawa yung mga segments, 'di ba, nila parang pare-parehas 'yan through the years.
It's not like Eat Bulaga set out to create the next tour de force in Philippine television. No, they only aimed to do good showbiz. And they did it well, and the ratings reflected that. They left room to innovate and eventually advocate.
If you look at a historical thematic analysis of Eat Bulaga, earlier, bastusan yan eh. Baboy, to be blunt about it. But they grew with a social conscience. Eventually, it grew. It advocated for some things. It advocated for values. It advocated yung sa Alden, di ba? Ang ganda-ganda ng mga values na pinapakita doon, no? Yung pagliligawan na hindi biglaan. I mean, values that Filipinos look for. Very subtle. Yun ang maganda doon, no? Very subtle advocacies.
That's June Austria. He teaches broadcast arts and studies at the University of the Philippines. The show has since won numerous awards, including the PMPC Star Awards for television, the Golden Screen Awards, and the Awit Awards. That's because they were simply better than all their contemporaries for a time. And that was because they grew with their audience, which is one of the reasons they caught lightning in a bottle with the show.
Actually, marami silang mga bagay na kinukuha, ina-adapt nila from their competition, and they make it better. Pero marami silang mga bagay na sinimulan. Halimbawa, nung mga panahon na wala pa tayong pinag-usapang mga LGBTQ, meron na silang Super Sirena. Nag-a-advocate na sila. Yung Super Sirena ng Eat Bulaga, it was really ahead of its time. Sa panahon na wala pang drag den, wala pang RuPaul's Drag Race, di pa parang, syempre, sikat na nung mga araw na yun si RuPaul, pero hindi pa naiisip, no, yung mga ganong klaseng konsepto. Meron na yung Eat Bulaga.
Eto pa, nagkaroon ng Super Sirena worldwide, which included candidates from countries like Nigeria, Thailand, and Venezuela in 2014. At alam nyo ba, yung Pinoy Henyo game, kinopya ni Ellen DeGeneres at ginawang app named Heads Up.
I think in Eat Bulaga, there is that earnest desire to touch base with their audience.
We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, where does Eat Bulaga go from here?
Pumasok po kami lahat ngayong araw para makapagtrabaho, pero hindi po kami pinayagang umere ng new management. Non-live. Hindi po kami pinayagang mag-live ng new management.
That was Tito Soto just last week, May 31. That announcement was not aired live on GMA Network. It was live streamed on Eat Bulaga's Facebook page and YouTube channel. And as you heard, the new management of Tape Incorporated did not allow the show to go on air live. Eat Bulaga was hosted by Tito, Vic, and Joey when it first started. The star power in those names actually had a lot to do with its early success.
And of course, popular na si Tito, Vic, and Joey because of his School Bukol sa 13. Ang taas-taas ng rating ng program noon. Everybody watched and everybody liked their humor. So they just translated that humor of School Bukol to Eat Bulaga.
Yan ulit si June Austria, isang professor ng Broadcast Arts and Studies sa UP Diliman. Now, on the other hand, Eat Bulaga's eventual success and staying power is absolutely a credit to their writers and producers. June Austria has first-hand insight on that from Malu Choa-Fagar, one of the executives at Tape Incorporated, which produces Eat Bulaga.
What I was astonished was when I talked to Malu, Fagar, how did you come up with Aldab? Saging ang ratings ng Eat Bulaga nung pasok ng Showtime, bagsak sila. Talagang admittedly bagsak. Sabi ni Malu, they conduct research. Nagulat ako because traditionally, in the olden days of television or broadcast for that matter, wala namang audience research. This time, they conducted audience research and found out that audiences want to be seen on TV, want to participate, and so on and so forth. And we're looking at love teams. And the power of social media, yung lumabas yung mukha ni May na kinilig lahat ng mga audiences. So, through formal research and informal research, they launched that new segment. Taas na naman sila. So what am I saying here? Inaaral ng Eat Bulaga ang audiences nila through time to build.
The show also flashed its king-making potential when it jump-started the careers of other showbiz personalities like Alan Kay, Pauline Luna, and Maine Mendoza.
So they compete, no? Nung una ang Showtime, panay bastusan. But have you heard Vice Ganda talk about yung mga nanay sa beauty contest nila? Yung mga payo niya, etc. May social conscious na rin kahit papaano. Diba? Of course, meron pa rin tawanan sa mga slapsticks o yung karakter ng tao. Pero on that basis, pareho na sila ng Eat Bulaga, no? They're growing. That's why may popularity. And they have built their audiences. May audience ang Eat Bulaga, may audience ang Showtime. If you really analyze the ratings, you will see there is a constant audience for both programs. Tapos yung akyat baba fluctuates. Ito yung walang program loyalty.
Kung natatandaan niyo po, July 30, 1979, nang simula namin ang Eat Bulaga. 44 years na po ngayong taon na ito, 44 na taon. Kaya naman lubos ang aming pasasalamat sa mga naging tahanan namin.
The feud started between Tito Soto, Vic Soto, and Joey De Leon and their talent management company Tape Incorporated after the three objected to changes in the show's format which they felt were detrimental to its long-running success. Tito Soto has since claimed Tape would end up using the show to push their political agendas. Other hosts of the show, Paulo Ballesteros, Jose Manalo, Maine Mendoza, Ryan Agoncillo, and Alan Kay, filed their resignation on the same day. That's a lot of star power to lose in one day. The departure of Eat Bulaga's hosts could lead to a decline in ratings, since viewers might end up following the hosts to their new title, whatever it may be, in their new home. But at the end of the day, hosts aren't everything.
I suspect if the three of these guys, wag naman sana, no? They are not able to show up for the programs anymore. They're old or whatever. There is a legacy that they have built. Almost 50 years May legacy niya. At maipapatuloy niya nung buong production team, no? The program is not just the host. Kasi di ba star system ang Pilipinas? So yung star system na yun, they were able to translate it to something else from the audience's point of view. So kahit wala si Tito Sen dyan, manunod pa rin ako Kaya absent si Vic, manunod pa rin ako. Absent si Joey, manunod pa rin ako. Kasi nakabuo na sila a concept that people will become loyal to. They're loyal to the program, not the three hosts. That's how I do it.
That's a major win for TV5, by the way, which has been struggling in recent years. But the show's move has the potential to shake up the Philippine television landscape completely. Just think about the impending shift in viewership and advertising spending. The shakeup might have been a long time coming, considering how quickly the television landscape has been changing these days. Scholars of Philippine TV says shows like Eat Bulaga all feel the bite from the rise of new media platforms, the changing Philippine demographics, and the tougher competition for viewers. But losing the great Eat Bulaga might feel like losing a bit of our culture.
It's reflective of Filipino culture because they present what resonates. They reflect the wants of the audiences. They reflect the Filipino humor now. They reflect or they represent what the Filipino audience, big number of Filipino audience, would like to see. And it's, again, this type of variety shows are escapist. But you see, I think, no, siguro ang wishful thinking ko to, that the taste of a wide number of Filipino audiences, the taste has changed. They want more substance, a little more substance than what we used to have back 40 years ago. So that reflects it. That reflects the want for decency, want for values.
Just like celebrities, Eat Bulaga derives its power from its popularity, which it gets from its massive audience base. But academics say this audience can exercise its own power to affect change in the way Eat Bulaga goes about its business.
You know, the Filipino audience should be media literate. They should understand that what Eat Bulaga dishes out is to capture their needs, their wants, their desires, their taste. Kasi para kumita ng pera. Bottom line, it boils down to making money. Dapat alam ng Filipino audience na pinagkakakitaan ako nito. There's nothing wrong with that. Na-entertain mo naman ako. Di pagkakitaan mo ko, fine. But what the Filipino audience should learn about Eat Bulaga, they can put their foot down. They have a voice. Kasi nga, mirror siya. They have a voice. If they don't want something in the program, make the production feel it.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Pidoy Blanco. If you like this episode, share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka News and Puma Podcast on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thanks for listening.